Today I'm going to talk about Sidney Crosby, aka Sid the Kid. It's pretty much felt around the entire NHL league that Sidney Crosby is a dick. Nobody likes him, from the fans to the players to some even the franchises.
Absolutely come unraveled now. Crosby.
What is Crosby doing?
Now Craig Adams is landing. Most of this today has been
the whole thing is Crosby's fault.
For example, the Rangers cannot stand this guy.
It's one of the most arrogant organizations in the league. They whine about this stuff all the time, and look what happens.
Is there any preliminary report on stuff on how bad?
Haven't talked to Rammer. It's ridiculous. But they'll whine about something.
And why is that? He is 29 years old. He just won the Stanley Cup and he lifted the World Cup with Canada as well. Crosby comes from a heritage of hockey. His father played for the Montreal as their goalie. So why do people hate him? The first real reason is he's a diver. He literally, anytime he gets a little bit of a touch, he just falls to the ice.
Got it. And you're seeing what I saw. Sidney Crosby getting up, Lundqvist into his face.
The referees call it, and it changes the game. Sidney Crosby was drafted in at an incredibly young age, 19 years old, with a total contract for that 1 year at $3.7 million. What 19-year-old who's given $3.7 million, as well as all of that ego and fame as being the next Gordie Howe, is not going to be a bit of a dick? By the time he was 20, he was now the captain of the Pittsburgh Penguins. He was 21 years old. He beat the Detroit Red Wings, which, that doesn't matter. He lifted the Stanley Cup for the Pittsburgh Penguins. 21 years old. He's just been made their captain. This fame and ego on a young kid. I remember when I was 21, I was a bit of a dick. I didn't have $3.7 million backing me and an entire NHL franchise telling me I was the golden boy and the next great hockey player. Having concussions, which is probably because he's a bit of a dick to other players, so they want to check him, they want a bit of revenge on him for his behaviour. In shootouts, Crosby does incredibly well. 21 out of 52 attempts. That's pretty good. So this kid can put the puck at the back of the net, but his childish mentality of diving when he gets, there's a little bit of a tickle.
Got it.
There's a thing called slew foot. Oh, it's this. That's dangerous. That is a dirty, dirty play. And when you have 13, 14,000 people at a stadium watching this, you're going to get a name for yourself. These great hockey players like Gordie Howe. The Gordie Howe hat-trick was a goal, assist, and winning a fight. But at the end of the day, he would still shake hands with all of the players. He would still stand in photos. He was a pure gentleman on and off the ice. He hasn't learned that. I don't think he really had the right people maybe nudging him. And this is where you need good mentors in life to help you with these things. Sidney Crosby went to a prep school. He was always told he's a little bit better than everybody else. And you can't win the cup. And when you're that young, you know what? People might go, oh, he was young. Fair enough. You know to go shake hands with the other team. Like this.
Minutes after Game 7 ended last night, Red Wings captain Nicklas Lidstrom led his team through the post-game handshakes while some of the Penguins were still busy celebrating, including Sidney Crosby, who was one of the last to join the handshake line, leading to some booing from the crowd at Joe Louis Arena. Many of the Red Wings were already done shaking hands by the time that Crosby lined up, leading to this comment from Chris Draper, and I quote, "Nick was waiting and waiting, and Crosby didn't come over to shake his hand. That's ridiculous, especially as a captain, and you can make sure."
So how does he now be able to stand up and be a first-class citizen on and off the ice? He needs to be doing a lot of charity work. He needs to be, if he wants to be the golden boy of the NHL and that kind of character, he has to show it and he has to prove it. He has to re-earn the respect of an entire league, and that's probably what Sydney's real challenge is. It's not scoring goals or lifting trophies. He can do that. He's got the skills and the abilities, but actually being a decent player, and I mean that by, if he does a bad hit and he knows he did, put his hands up, go, yep, that was my fault. He is off the ice and outside the arena. He needs to be doing some great charity work. Look at Henrik Lundqvist.
I started Henrik Lundqvist Foundation about 2 years ago. Our focus is education and health for children and their families here in New York, but also abroad. Are you a hockey fan or no?
Henrik Zetterberg even.
We talked with Henrik Zetterberg, and she wrapped up her one-on-one exclusive conversation talking with Henrik about his wife, Emma.
Yeah. She told me that you guys met from 2 different parts of Sweden.
Yes, we did. She's from the south, I'm from the north. So,
yeah.
But we met in Stockholm.
Who Sydney's never had issues with. Like, we're not real fights on the ice, but there's some definite tension there now. Alex Ovechkin is a phenomenal Russian hockey player. He is amazing, and his tenacity for being on the ice and to make sure his team wins, and he's going to lead that team to victory, is above all higher than anybody else within the league. Ovechkin last winter shoveled snow for all of his neighbours on his block, and his response was, "It's snow. We have this in Russia. It's not a problem." That's a very bad Russian accent, but that's how he is. He went and did this because he's a really nice guy, and Sidney Crosby needs to start acting like this. He needs to be doing this kind of work. And if he did this, I think a lot of the fans would be the first ones to give him a second chance first. As I mentioned, he's just won the World Cup with Canada, as well as lifting the Lord Stanley Cup as well this season too. So he was probably about 25. He was a dick. Just an absolute dick. And a lot of fans haven't forgiven him and the players haven't forgiven him for his behaviour. Now, as he's getting a little bit older, like I said, he's 29 now, he is starting to settle down a bit more. His sportsmanship is definitely improved. But he's done a lot of damage. And he has this reputation now that it's going to be really hard to overcome. So what does the future really hold for Sidney Crosby? No doubt he's going to win more trophies. He's going to win more cups. But he needs to do a lot more in his PR. He needs to be making sure his sportsmanship conduct is faultless. Is he going to be in the Hall of Fame? He might not get it if he carries on behaving the way that he does. The Hall of Famers are not people who just score goals and are great at hockey. They are the best of the person can be, the best of what a hockey and best sportsmanship has. And his sportsmanship is terrible. It has been absolutely dreadful. But again, I'm going to, for the rest of the season, put that down to a young boy with a lot of money and a very large ego driven by a league and franchise blank page. I will judge him purely on his behavior on and off the ice. I will probably do some tweets. You can follow me on Twitter here. And how he's doing, and seeing if he, as he heads to 30, if he actually grows up, or if he's always just going to be a spoilt little prep boy. So thank you for watching Why I Hate Sidney Crosby. This is Sunday, so this is hockey. Go Red Wings!